Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Parshas nasso and behaloscha for those taking score at home. So again, I'm not going to say my favorite Var Torah of behaloscha or Rav Soloveitchik. We said that last year. But we're trying to do at least is trying to connect the American Parshios and the Israel Parsha together. And the good news is there's a strong kesher between the end of nasso and beginning of behaloscha. So we know those people in Eretz Yisrael last week. We had a really long parsha. Sorry to break it to you guys in New York, but you're in for a long ride tomorrow. So make sure you have you have a candy or you have a coffee or something before. And we have the 12 Nisim. The 12 Nisim, they all volunteered to bring karbanos. They weren't commanded, but they felt they wanted to do it. And each of them brings the exact same number of karbanos, the same amount of flour, ketores, and the same weight of the karos. Everything was the same, every shevet. And the question is, if it's the same carbon over and over again, why repeat this twice? Why repeat twice? Why repeat 12 times over and over again? Just say it once. So the Medrash says that every shevet had their own machshava, what they wanted to bring, and it turned out that it was identical. So the Medrash brings down that Reuven had their machshava behind what their parim were for, what their elim were for, what their mizrak, what their kaf. Everything had one purpose. And Yehuda and Shimon and Naphtali, every shevet had their own machshavas. By the end, it turned out it was the same thing. Every shevet had the same thing. This week, we start off in behaloscha, where Hashem tells Aaron to light haloscha saneros, bring up the candles. And the question is, what's the kesher? And the Medrash says that Aaron was upset that he wasn't part, the Leviim were not part of the Nesiim, of the Karbanos. And Hashem says, you're a part of it. The menorah has a purpose. And the Ramban goes into the purpose of the menorah, not just, the Nesiim was just once, but the menorah is forever. And the question is, the menorah really wasn't forever because it stops. Beis Hamikdash stopped. The Ramban kind of talks about that this is an allusion to Hanukkah, the Ners of Hanukkah. But again, where the question is, as far as even Ners Hanukkah took place once, the Nes was once, what does that have to do with us? And what's Nechama for Aaron, the fact that you have the menorah, which again, also took place. We don't have it today. Today we don't light the menorah. Hanukkah, yes, but there's no menorah today. So what's the purpose and what's the nechama of Aaron that he's, okay, I didn't see him, but at least I did the menorah. What's the nechama? So Mordechai Scheinberg brings a very interesting mashal, who says that Jewish people are compared to the stars and afar oretz, the dust. And there's two big differences. The Kochavim, they're very pretty, they give off light, they give off energy, but each one is special by itself. Afar is really worthless by itself. Dirt is dirt, but together it's strong. Together you can combine it, make concrete or cement. Together you can kind of grow things in it. Together it's very strong. And the two purposes that the Jewish person is special. Each shevet is special by itself. But again, we're only strong when we're together. So the Nesiim, each shevet had their own machshava. Each shevet had their own carbon. Each shevet had their own day to it was a yontif. It was a holiday for at shevet. Very special. But at the end of the day, after 12 days, we're all connected through the Torah. And that's the job of Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen and Leviim, their job was to teach the Torah. And Aaron's sole purpose was to Rodev Shalom, Ohev Shalom. Ohev Shalom, Rodev Shalom. His main purpose was to make Shalom. So if one shevet or one person had a fight with the other person, it was Aaron's job to bring them together. So even though each shevet had their own special kochos, they all are together and strong together. We see in this parsha, in behaloscha, that the people, Bamidbar, Nasso, behaloscha, they're all traveling towards Kivun, they're all getting together, they're all ready to go to Eretz Yisrael, they're marching, they have the Chatzotzros, everything is looking good for them. All of a sudden, Vayibn Soa, fantastic, and then Misonim, Misavim, and things go south. Figuratively, not really south. What's going on here? And I thought that's kind of really, if you look at it, that they went 3 days away from Midbar Sinai, and the Medrash says that they went away from Sinai like a child from school. So it's not a coincidence that once you leave the Torah, once you leave the thing that combines the people, unites the Jewish people, you're going to have misonin, you're going to have misavim. I want more than this guy. I want this. I want to spend my OL should be here. I want to do this. I want to be better than the other person. I want more food, the slav. And that's really the result of it. For 11 months, they're at Har Sinai, Midbar Sinai. Everyone's together. Everyone's learning Torah. Everyone is Achdus, Vayichan Sham. Everyone's together. But once they leave Har Sinai, once they go 3 days away from Sinai, you have fights, you have strife. And that's, I think, the purpose. It's very good that we're all together on Shavuos and we're all learning Torah, but the question is, do we have that sense of Achdus post Shavuos? Do we have that sense now? I was lucky this week. I'm in a Gemara Chabura, and the Rosh Chabura, our good friend Akiva, was out that morning, so we had looked for volunteers who's going to learn the Gemara and say it over. So I volunteered. So instead of, ripping off my shirt at the end of Ma'ariv and Havdalah, not Ma'ariv, and looking at the emails and looking at what I have to catch up for work, what I have to do, I was able to spend a little bit of time after Shavuos and look at Gemara for the next day. And I think it was the first time that I kind of had this effect of Shavuos. I was able to kind of carry it over to this week. I was able to learn a little bit more Torah this week, and I really had this after effect of Shavuos. And the question is, who amongst us has this carryover effect? And that's, I think, very important, that once we leave Shavuos, once we leave Torah, whether it's a day, an hour, 3 hours, a day, a week, whatever it is, we open ourselves up to strife, we open ourselves up to some of the temptations, some of this taivas that we have, and it's important that we kind of keep this lesson of Torah. It's very important to learn Torah every day, important to have a set Seder every day, maybe more than once a day if we can. This way we're never really far from Torah, and that's the thing that unites us. In our Chabura we have BTs, we have people from Chicago, we have a Brooklyn guy, we have someone from Jersey, Beit Shemesh people, all over, but we're all together to learn Torah and to unite ourselves. And hopefully we can kind of take these lessons from Shavuos, where we all learn Torah, and in the Midbar, Vayichan Sham, and hopefully we can stay united through Torah and to become a Mashiach. Shabbat Shalom.